can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Hey, how are we doing out there tonight? All across this great land and around the world, it's time once again for the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we are geared up, ready to go today. Boy, I'll tell you what, some days are diamonds, some days are stones. Today is a diamond day. There is so much going on right now all around this world, and all of it somehow pertains to what's going on here in America. And it's amazing. It's amazing just how far this country and this world has transgressed into chaos in the last 8 years. Just amazing. Just how fast has it accelerated. Of course, we know that the left has been building up for this time, probably last 50, 60 years in high gear, ever since FDR. But just at that moment, it's just at that moment where they decided, hey, in 2008, let's launch a full frontal assault on the Constitution and the United States of America, chose their point man, none other than Barack Obama, all things to all people, Muslim, Christian, atheist, homosexual, he's got it all going for him. And he's just out there to make sure that the world is a perfect place for everybody but those who actually have some morals and some ethics. So we're glad to have you with us today. We are going to try to make some leeway or make some sense of a lot of things that are going on. The chaos that is just escalated across the world here in just the last few days. Just the last 4 or 5 days, it's just been one thing after another. And we can now, I'm waiting for the first news network or mainstream media channels, or maybe TMZ would probably be the one that would do it, that would have the daily terror watch. Okay, what's going on in the world here? Where is the terrorist activity taking place today? And they could do it maybe like a weather report or something like that. Have some nice looking chick up there, maybe in a bikini, just to make it attractive, and have a map in front of her and pointing out where the obstacles are. Where the SIG alerts are around the world and terrorist activity and that kind of thing. I'm just joking here, but it's no laughing matter, really. That's what's happening. We can almost set our clocks by terrorist attacks. So we're going to talk about a couple things today. And I don't know how it's going to evolve, if I can use that word. And but you'll make sense, just as I said on this show many times, there's a method to our madness. Just hang with us, and you'll know what we're talking about before it's all over. Having said that, let me bring on Joe. Joe, how you doing tonight?
I just try to keep up with us, okay? We might be all over the map, but at least it's not a flat map of a flat Earth society, as they try to tell us. We're too stupid to know any better. Yeah, there might be some polar bears running in front of my house, and there are hey, newsflash. Check it out, Disney. There are alligators in Florida.
Yeah. In fact, I think I almost did this today. I thought about doing this, but because of the stations that we're on now, the affiliates that we're on now, one of the affiliates that's getting ready to kick off big time right now, Red State Rising, and that's affiliated with some of the other affiliates that we have. The Internet Conservative Radio Network and Sackheads Radio and High Plains Radio, they're all tying into this big network called Red State Rising. And Red State Rising notified me today that we might be there might be some terrestrial stations out on the East Coast and down in the South that may be picking our show up every now and then. And so they're telling me because of that, we have to be concerned with FCC rules. And that has to do with language and things like that, So they're like, some of you guys really like to sling the words out there. You got to be careful about it. We won't be able to put your show on terrestrial radio anywhere if you don't. But then there's other issues like royalties. If you play music from other people and stuff like that, you've got to worry about royalties and things like that. I was so thinking today of the Creedence Clearwater song, Looking Out My Back Door, with, what's his name? John, forget his name, the lead singer for Creedence Clearwater.
I'll help you, John. It's John Fogerty.
Yeah, John Fogerty. That's it. Okay. And, of course, that song, I guess, is supposed to be somebody on an acid trip, but... I remember the words out there about, the elephants and high heels and cartwheels, doing cartwheels or something like that. I thought about playing that song today. I thought about opening up with that song because the political correctness is out there. It's just, if I was a liberal today, I'd tell you, if I had a moment of clarity, you know what I'd want to do? I'd want to get myself a Glock 40 and end it all. If you really have this idea that you can somehow manipulate nature, natural law, and the fallibility of man and shape it all into some utopian existence where everybody's happy and everybody gets along, you have got to be bat crap crazy.
It is insane. Just look at any playground in America with little kids playing in it. They're not going to always get along. And then once they have their little tiff, then they get along for a little while and they have fun, and then all of a sudden they might do it again the next day. But they learn how to deal with it.
Well, I know growing up, I was a small kid growing up. I believe it or not, when I was a freshman in high school, I was 4'11". I weighed 72 pounds. And I went out for football and lasted all of 3 weeks. Ended up just getting smashed and actually had a cast on my back for 6 months. I got just pulverized in a cross block by the two biggest guys on the team. One hit me low, one hit me high, and that was it. It was all over.
That wasn't done on purpose.
Okay. But the point being is, as a little kid, as somebody who was small, I got bullied a lot. And I tell you, there was a day, I remember this one kid, Billy West. He was twice the size of me, and he would harass me every day coming home from school. Get off the bus, and one day I just turned on him and beat the living hell out of him. And he left me alone. And that's what happens if you're being bullied. You know what you do? You go after the bully. You don't back down, because really most bullies are weak. They're just, they try to intimidate, but they're dumber than rocks, really. And they really don't. They're not as really badass as everybody thinks they are.
Yep.
And if you just stand up to them, they'll leave you alone. And I'll never forget it. Billy became one of my best friends later.
Say at half the time they become friends.
Yeah, because he just thought he could push me around. One day I just got tired of it, and I said, okay, that's it, and I just unloaded on him.
Well, just think about this, John. This is how crazy we are. We have the Senate that's going to vote on the defense authorization bill, and within it, there's language that would require our women folk to register with selective service. In other words, register for their draft.
Okay.
So that's what they're going to do. We're so incompetent now that we have to have our women register for drafts so we can send our women off to war.
Well,
hold on, listen to me now. And in the meantime, if you have tattoos that can be seen while you wear a short sleeve shirt, that'll keep you out of the Marines. But if you have to, you can put on high heels, fake boobs, and a wig, and no one can say anything to you.
I hadn't thought about that. And I hadn't thought about that. I had not thought about that. That is hilarious. Yeah.
But truth.
It is true. Yeah, we're going to have the transgender barracks. Okay. Oh my goodness. Well, here it is. I'm sitting there like I'm laughing here because the political correctness that is constantly is just ever evolving in the animal kingdom. in the animal kingdom. You all remember that a couple weeks ago, a gorilla was killed after a child fell into a gorilla pit or whatever, and the gorilla was dragging the kid around, so they ended up shooting the gorilla. And, of course, all the PETA people were just really, really upset that this gorilla's life was considered less valuable than the life of a human being. And then, of course, last week, I think it was, we reported, the kid that was killed with a crocodile down Disneyland.
No crocodiles now. That's an alligator over at the Disney Resort. An alligator in there's just lakes everywhere down there in Orlando way. So it was just an alligator. Hello, again, newsflash. There are alligators in Florida.
Yeah. And if you're by a lagoon, which was a lagoon, natural, if you had any, if you have the IQ of seaweed, you would think, oh, lagoon, Florida, Everglades, things like that. Oh, maybe there's alligators here. Maybe there's crocodiles here. Maybe I should watch my kid at 9:30 at night down playing by the water. That kind of thing.
Yeah, and let's not hammer the parents too bad. I mean, for crying out loud, they just lost their son. But
no, but I mean that is the argument that is being thrown out there by, of course, the animal lovers, because the crocodile or the alligator, I understand, was found and killed.
I don't know. I don't know if they ever did find it. I know they got 4 of them out of there looking, but they ended up finding the young child. Obviously, he wasn't in great shape, and so I mean, but that happens at times in Florida.
Okay,
I mean, we have this happening in Florida. It's not a regular everyday occurrence, but it does happen.
Yeah. Well, I got some for you when we come back from break here. That would just is just going to shoot a hole in all this whole idea here. Okay. And that's what I want to share with you guys. But right now we got to take a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We got a full day for you. We'll be right back.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
All right. You're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and I'm just ecstatic here. I'm just looking at all the stuff that's going on, and I just can't keep my eyes off the cyberspace right now. It's just there's so much stuff going on. I guess we mentioned briefly yesterday there was a gay pride parade out in New York. I guess over the weekend. Was it over the weekend?
Homosexual pride parade. Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Well, today there was a heterosexual pride day. Somebody decided they were going to organize a heterosexual pride day, and of course it was infiltrated by homosexuals.
Oh my goodness!
I guess if you were heterosexual out there parading and being proud about being heterosexual, of course that means that you're a racist or you're homophobic or whatever, I'm using that to kind of just bring us back into this talk or this little conversation here on political correctness. And here we are. We were talking about crocodiles and alligators just before the break. And the gorilla that was shot upset the leftists out there, the animal protectors, the people that want to put the value of animals over the value of humans, because we humans just oppress everything, and we're greedy and we're evil and we're destroying the planet and all the other good things that
we have human privilege.
Yeah, we have human privilege, and nothing about the idea that God told us dominate the world, subdue and rule the world. It's all about the animals. And the gorilla was killed, and we were talking about the alligator that killed a 2-year-old boy out in Florida last week. And lo and behold, Disney not missing an opportunity to become the politically correct icon of the world. They do it out here in California. We have the LGBTQ day out here in Disneyland, believe it or not. They closed the park down, and all the LGBTQs get into Disneyland for free.
Well, so can just old fat white guys have a day too?
I don't know. The only thing I really like about being so close to Disneyland and Osprey Farm and stuff like that, on your birthday they let you in free. Of course, nothing's free. They let you in the gate free, but when you're paying $15 for a hamburger, they make up the difference real fast. But here's the deal. Disneyland or Disney World, see, I always confuse them. Out here they're called Disneyland. Back east it's called Disney World. Disney World has, because of the sensitivity revolving around this child being killed by an alligator, has removed any references or signs of alligators from Disney World. Okay, and I'm reading this from the Miami Herald.
I see this now. Okay. I'm reading along with you.
Okay. It says, in the wake of a tragic alligator attack at Disney World Hotel that left a 2-year-old boy dead, Disney World has begun to make changes, even to decade-old attractions. Within days after the 2-year-old Lane Graves was snatched by an alligator near the Seven Seas Lagoon at the Grand Floridian Resort and Spa on June 14th, Disney World staff was installing temporary barriers and new signs warning about alligators. Okay, that I can understand.
Seems to be a reasonable response to a tragic incident. Yes.
And would also justify the question, why didn't you do that before?
Well, okay, that's good. Yeah,
okay, so, depending on what side of...
It's a response, though.
Yeah,
yes.
Depending on what side of the cynical meter you're on, you could look at it either way. But now, references and appearances to the predators in the parks have begun to disappear. We continue to evaluate processes and procedures for our entire property. And as part of this, we are reinforcing training with our cast for reporting sightings and interactions with wildlife, and are expanding our communication to guests on this topic.
Just what kind of predators? Are we talking like sexual predators, or these are actual like lions, tigers, and bears? Oh my!
Yeah, it must be the lion, tigers, and bears. Oh my! The idea that we're training with our cast. I guess that would be the people that make believe to be the characters that Disney World has made gazillions of dollars off of. Okay.
Yeah.
Lewis, the trumpet-playing alligator from the 2009 film *The Princess and the Frog*, was supposed to be part of the Friendship Fair Castle show at Magic Kingdom, but got pulled just days before the show premiered on June 23rd. I guess Lewis maybe wanted to take a hint from this other alligator. Maybe he would start molesting children or something.
He's going to go run around Disney during their little act and just harass all the little kids.
Yeah, and the according to a Disney employee, anonymous source apparently works at Disney World. Okay.
Yeah, and this guy was going to do this all while playing a trumpet.
Yeah, he was going to play a trumpet and the TikTok croc from Peter Pan, known for hunting the villain Captain Hook, was also removed from the Festival of Fantasy parade.
So he was a good crocodile.
Yeah. Okay.
Went after the bad guy.
He's out there looking for the bad guy. You would think, hey, that you'd want him in the parade. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. Yeah.
Here it is. The Jungle Cruise. This is the one that gets me.
Ooh.
The Jungle Cruise has changed its scripts, stopping employees from making jokes like, "But remember, folks, if you don't watch your children, the crocodiles will," as they narrate an adventure ride through rivers across the world. Okay. Now, here's the kicker, guys. The last paragraph of this article is the kicker. The employee, I guess this is an anonymous source, the employee said additional wildlife training is now required for employees at ESPN Wide World of Sports, which has a lot of retention ponds and alligators inside. Since 2006, 240 alligators have been trapped and killed at Disney across the 25,000-acre property. All right? So all this concern because a kid was suddenly killed, and the entire park is changing to accommodate, to make sure we don't bring any bad memories to the kids about this 2-year-old from Nebraska that got killed by alligators. But they've already killed 240 alligators since 2006. So I'm wondering what the animal lovers are going to do with that once they find that out.
I don't know how Disney can get along with that, get away with that, because alligators are protected. I mean, you're not even allowed to. If it was in my backyard, I'm not allowed to kill the damn thing. If it's even trying to get in my house, you're not allowed to do it. You got to get the hold of the Florida Wildlife Commission and have them come in, and they've got trained people to respond to gators that are a nuisance, and that's what they call them, nuisance gators. Not those people in Gainesville, Florida, where University of Florida's at. Not those gators. These are actual alligators that are nuisances.
Okay, well, that you bring up a good point there. 240 alligators have been trapped and killed at Disney across the 25,000-acre property. Now, the question is, I wonder if any of the animal activists are going to, pick up on this. And
I doubt it.
Well, who knows? I mean, these organizations these are cash cows, man.
Well, if these were homosexual alligators, then yes, I would say they would. But they're probably not.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go check.
Well, there's a whole lot of things I could say here with the crossover between the LGBTQ community and alligators. I mean, we could have a lot of fun with that, but I just leave it where it's at.
Handbags right there, 240 alligators. A lot of handbags, a lot of shoes, a lot of gloves.
Yeah. No, I hadn't thought about that either. I don't know.
A lot of belts.
Yeah, you're just a wealth of ideas today, Joe.
Gators, just like we have a problem with bears where I'm at, and bears are diverse, and you should not interact with the bears, although they come to your garbage can like it's their drive-through at Wendy's.
All right, yeah, I get you there. We have that problem out here in California, believe it or not. Not where I'm at, but up in the hills, 10, 20, 30 miles from here. People live up in the hills, and they have to deal with the bears coming in and coming down and, turning over their trash and stuff like that.
Who can blame the bears? They're not stupid. They're going to go, and if life's easier to get out of your garbage can than to try to go actually run it down and kill it.
Well, and the contrast in how things like this are reported. I mean, out here, that's breaking news. Car chases and bears invading people's trash cans are breaking news out here in California.
That's fun.
I mean, the Pope could be here, and they would interrupt the Pope appearing here in L.A. to cover a car chase or a bear. And the bears, depending on what the bear does, if the bear just comes into the property and, turns over the trash can, everybody giggles and oohs and ahs at the nice little fuzzy bear, that kind of stuff. But if the bear comes in and kills somebody's dog in the backyard or something like that, then it's, we got to take the bear out, because the dog is more important than the bear. Because the dog is a human to the person that owns it. That kind of stuff. So, anyway, but it gets even better, folks. I'm just going to spend a few more minutes on this. It gets even better when we talk about political correctness. And we talk about the leftist idea of making the world tragedy-free, catastrophe-free, chaos-free, making the world a better place by doing what? Doing everything it can to eliminate human error or human thinking. Human reasoning in any given situation is the answer to utopia. We need to allow ourselves to be programmed to respond without emotion, without thinking, but at the same time, always taking into consideration what our actions mean to the people that they're perpetrated upon. Okay, there's the idiocy of liberalism. We've got to be all things to all people, keep our identity, but yet give our identity up in order to make everybody else feel accepted and tolerated. We give up our own self. That's the center of liberalism, right? The left calls it sacrifice. Where you sacrifice your identity and your existence for the sake of the collective, making everybody else feel acceptable, whether or not what they do or their actions are contrary to social order or ethical guidelines. A moral compass. A moral compass that is, by the day, is just becoming screwball. It just points in any given direction on any given day, that kind of thing. Well, I didn't know this. I was telling Joe before the show. I picked this up. My wife was watching CBS News this morning, and lo and behold, they're talking about driverless cars. Now, we've heard about it. I've seen, Google's out there trying to make one and this, that, and the other. But they're talking about whether or not the programming in these driverless cars should evolve to have what they call ethical reasoning in the decisions that the cars will make in any given circumstance. Meaning, you come up on a potential catastrophe. You're driving down the street and you're coming around a sharp edge in the street or something like that, and all of a sudden somebody steps out in front of the car, or a car veers from the other lane over to your lane or whatever. The car is supposed to be programmed now to react to that and in an instant be able to determine whether your life is more valuable or the life of the other person in the other car. Think about that just for a minute. And this is an article I pulled off Science Is Us. Not one of you, I wouldn't say a real credible website, kind of like Live Science. But your driverless car could be programmed to kill you. Okay? I want to spend a couple of moments talking about this because Joe's got a serious topic today. He's going to have the con most of the day today.
Oh, my goodness.
But I want to have my little fun here before I turn it over to him. So we'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got. Nature's Youth, and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame. He owed money to the IRS and they finally caught up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get the Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
All right, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And I just want to spend just a few more minutes on this driverless car thing because it just so well exemplifies and demonstrates and illustrates the delusional thinking of people who believe that they can eliminate human... Think about this just for a second. Let's put this in context.
Yeah.
Human beings spend time, effort, and money trying to design a way of overcoming their own infallibilities. Think about that for a minute. The imperfect try to create something that compensates for their imperfection.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
How in the world could that ever happen? Because if imperfect beings are creating the system, then the system is going to be imperfect.
That's correct.
Okay. The idea, and look what happens, remember the old movie 2001 Space Odyssey? When the computer develops beyond human capability, what does it do? It becomes evil.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Yeah. So here we have now driverless cars. And, of course, the idea behind the driverless car is, number one, the ability to give you, the driver, hands-free. You don't have to worry about anything. You can just sit in your car and drive through the nice scenery down there to the Pacific Coast Highway or wherever it is you like to go, to enjoy the scenery. And you don't have to worry about all the exertion that goes with sitting behind a wheel and having to push the gas and the brakes and to actually turn the car and guide it through the streets that you go through and watch out for obstacles and all the things that happen when you drive.
John, I don't know what the big deal is. People do that now.
Yeah, I know.
Seriously, if you watch them now, people are riding in their cars. Hardly anybody's actually driving them anymore.
No.
Because they're doing other things in them, mostly on their damn cell phones.
Yeah, cell phones and makeup. The number of people I can tell you doing their makeup on the way to work in the morning. My pastor's daughter actually talked to me one time. Oh, I know what it was. I saw this girl in front of us. I was on my way to church, and we're at a red light, and the girl in front of us was changing her clothes while we were sitting at the red light. I saw her top come off, and she put on another top, and all of a sudden I saw the pants fly in the back seat, and I'm like, the girl's changing clothes sitting here at the red light. So I mentioned it when I got to church, and my pastor's daughter said, "Oh, yeah, I do that all the time." I'm like, "You're kidding me." She goes, "No, you're in a hurry. You got to get the kids to school, get in the car," and I just do everything on the way to while I'm like, oh, my goodness.
Like I said, they're just riding in their cars. They're not driving them.
Yeah, so anyway, I guess the driverless car would allow you to do that if you want to, change your clothes. Or
Have you seen, I've seen a Mercedes commercial that kind of touting this, but in the fine print it says, this car cannot drive itself. You still have to drive it.
Yeah, well, I think about some of the movies I've seen in the past that people think that when you, and this is true, actually has happened, people are out with their RVs on the freeway, out, going through the desert, put the car on cruise control and think that the car is driving itself.
Get up and go fix coffee, yes.
All right. So anyway, I guess this is an extension of that. But the car is supposed to be able to assess the situation at any given moment and make the correct choice as to what to do.
Well, it brings up some ethical questions now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. The way this article, I'm looking at this article from Science is Us. It says, imagine this scenario. You're relaxing in your driverless car, watching the scenery go by, and maybe getting drowsy. When you come around a sharp bend and see an accident a terrifyingly short distance ahead. There are 3 people standing outside of a car in the middle of the road, staring at the ruined front bumper and the dead deer in front of it. How will your car react? Should it plow into the stalled car and possibly kill 3 people, or veer into a nearby guardrail and possibly kill you? And they call this the trolley problem. The trolley's running away, and you have the chance to divert it onto another track, but you might kill the one person standing on that other track to save the lives in the trolley. Which way do you go? Which decision do you make? And apparently what happens is that now what we're talking about is the programming. Who programs the car to make these kinds of decisions? And so what I'm looking at this thing this morning, listening to these guys talk about it on CBS News, the answer, you know what the answer was. Who programs? Who writes the programs for these things? And the guy says, well, it seems like that would be a job for the government.
Oh, geez.
Okay, so the government will determine what type of programming goes into the cars to determine who lives and dies. Now, just apply that with Obamacare.
Oh, gee, really?
Let's say you're an 85-year-old lady, and you're driving down the street.
Here's
and I'm telling you, there's a lot of 85-year-old ladies that shouldn't be driving down the street, for sure. But you're driving around the street, and does that computer assess that as she comes around this bend and sees the deer that, the deer's still moving? Maybe the deer's life is more valuable than the 85-year-old lady, because after all, it would cost too much to treat this lady.
Or maybe it was a silverback gorilla.
Yeah. My point being is the program designed to, I'm just going off into Orwellian world here right now, but the point being is that would that be criteria for determining who lives and dies in a crash scenario?
I don't know.
I don't know. But the point is, how ridiculous is all this?
Well, it's not that it's ridiculous. It's going to eventually happen. It's just it's where you put that power. I mean, if you let the government do it, I wouldn't let this government do it. It comes down to, and I go back to that the movie I, Robot. Because it's basically the same thing. There's a difference engine question, and that's what's really kind of neat about it, but then also kind of scary about it, because of the fact that they're sitting on CBS News saying let the government program it.
Right.
That's beyond Orwellian.
I'll read you the last paragraph of this, and
like
we'll close.
Hitchcock.
We'll close this topic down because I want Joe to have time to do what he wants to do here. The authors don't offer any speculation about what this incoherence means for the future of driverless cars. It certainly seems to track with a common human tendency. They say, we acknowledge that this or that decision is the best course for the common good. But when the time comes to actually act in accordance with our belief, choose the selfish route instead. Meaning lots of people claim to be concerned about climate change while emitting more than their fair share of carbon. And what he's saying is, what makes the driverless car version of the trolley problem so intriguing is that individual passengers might just have that choice made for them by some distant programmer they've never met. Someone who can program in a rational response to an emotionally impossible decision. There you go. A programmer that you've never met writes a program to determine who lives or die in a driverless car situation, confronted with the decision who lives and dies in a pending accident that is about to take place. Think about that just for a minute. And he says here, one guy says, most participants wished others to cruise in autonomous vehicles, meaning they want everybody else to be driving in these driverless cars because that would be safer for everybody, but not themselves. Okay, there's the extension of what we talk about all the time here in this show.
Oh yeah.
Everybody else's government representative is nuts, but mine's okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. Yeah.
So let's apply that in driverless cars. Okay. I want everybody else to take care that I'm on the road, but I don't give a damn about everybody else in terms of what I'm doing while I'm in my car.
Yeah, and you see it all the time. Seriously, they're not driving; they're riding in their vehicle.
Yeah.
When they should be actually, if they were actually driving, you could tell they would be driving. I was behind someone today doing that silly crap today. I mean, it's every day; it's the same thing. And I don't have near the traffic you have.
Yeah, and what about the litigation out of this kind of thing? a car accident, and now we go after the programmers. Do we go after
no. That's just like that's like Hillary and them want to go after the gun manufacturers. You know, they've already gone after the auto manufacturers on that with stuff. I don't know how many settlements they've had to make for the tires that were falling off before in these SUVs. Remember those?
Yeah.
I mean, so. Let the government do it. That makes you feel all warm and fuzzy, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I remember I've been watching this stuff over in the Philippines. They've had a really bad rash of Toyotas that have a mind of their own that just take off, and they have all these videos of all these people sitting in the car, and all of a sudden the car just takes off and crashes and hits somebody else, and Toyota's denying that there's anything wrong with the cars. It's amazing. Anyway, we got to go to break. I promise you when we get back, we're going to get into Joe's topic, which is much more serious and much more important than what we're talking about right now. But stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Okay, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we're going to shift gears here, get into something a little bit more serious here.
Okay, sure.
The Brexit...
John, I got one, just one thing. You said something really... these people on TV about letting the government decide who would program these vehicles like that. Let me just play this and remind people, are you sure you want to let the government do this?
What really counts is how does the veteran feel about their encounter with the VA. When you go to Disney, do they measure the number of hours you wait in line or the number, what's important? What's important is what's your satisfaction with the experience?
Yeah, so, what would your satisfaction with the experience of the government doing that be?
Yeah. Well, here, in line with this, the Brexit vote.
Yes.
And we're seeing the European Union in panic mode right now.
Oh, yes.
And there's all sorts of things going on here. And it started off, I believe it was yesterday, with a speech given by, what's his name again? Farage?
Nigel Farage. Okay. Nigel Farage.
Okay, he was one of the main activists that brought about this exit vote of Britain pulling out of the European Union and the UK with it. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that is just feeding down the pipe here. We know that the EU and people like Barack Obama and George Soros, people that have a lot of power and money invested in the EU staying together.
Well, globalists.
Globalists, exactly. The globalist establishment. Okay, we're not talking just about the Republicans or the Democrats. This is on a global scale, of which the Democrats and Republicans are only members of the global establishment. It gets bigger, guys. The New World Order is a real deal. It's a real thing, okay? So the globalists are out there panicking for whatever reason, whether it be the threat to their power or the threat to their checkbook. Either one.
It's a little of both, but I think it's more their power.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, when you look at somebody like a George Soros, it's more about a pocketbook thing, a checkbook thing. Mm-hmm. But of course, he made a ton of money off this either way. But then when you get to people in, Barack Obama, Merkel over in Germany, these people that have these delusions of grandeur that they're going to one day run the entire world, that kind of stuff, those people are the ones that are shook the most right now. Because this exit from the European Union was an indictment on who they are and what they represent. And that is, of course, the globalism, the collective, the global collective with a few central planners making decisions for everybody. That's where they want to go.
It was rejected soundly. It was rejected.
Right. And now the threat is how is this going to ripple through the rest of the world, not just Europe, the rest of the world, because there's a lot of things going on. There's countries holding elections throughout the world that are not members of the EU, but will be affected by this call for independence that England decided they needed to do. Okay, so anyway, there was a speech given yesterday by this Mr. Farage, and I'm going to turn the con over to Joe because he's right on top of this topic, and we're going to explain to you what's going on.
Well, it's Nigel Farage, who's the leader of the UK Independence Party, or UKIP. And so he gave this speech yesterday in front of the European Parliament with all these other European Union leaders that were there. And here, let me just, I'm looking at a quote that he gave. He said, "Isn't it funny? I came here 17 years ago and I said I wanted to lead a campaign to get Britain out of the European Union. You all laughed at me. Well, I have to say, you're not laughing now, are you?" So that's the tone that he had with it, which is actually, I really can't blame him, because basically he said they don't like me and I don't like them, and I cannot blame him for having that tone. But I got a clip of part of his speech, and over in the media they're calling it a proper job speech, and you'll understand why they call that. They title this that, and I'll play part of it, and then we'll get a chance to talk about it, and then we'll play the rest of it, and we'll talk about that. So here's Nigel Farage in his speech to the European Parliament.
But what I would like to see is a grown-up and sensible attitude to how we negotiate a different relationship. Now I know that virtually none of you have ever done a proper job in your lives, or worked in business, or worked in trade, or indeed ever created a job. But listen, just listen.
So he kind of called them on the carpet, as most of these people there are just little bureaucrats, unelected bureaucrats, that have leadership positions, quote unquote, big air fingers quotes here, and they have not created actual jobs, have never, kind of like Hillary Clinton
or Barack Obama.
Absolutely. And it's like, okay, and they howled at him. It was amazing to watch this. To watch the video of this is just, these people were laughing like, oh my, I can't believe he said this guy's a joke, blah, blah, blah. But he absolutely, you know what they didn't like about it? Because it was the truth.
Well, let me ask you, because the audio, what I was hearing in the background, of course, there seemed to be a lot of howling, I guess, which is equivalent to booing. And, Europe is a little bit different from us. They drive on the wrong side of the road. And so I'm wondering, I was hearing some people clapping in the background. Now, was that applause, or is that their way of booing over there?
No, I think it's more some of them agreed, but most of them did not agree.
Yeah.
And one in particular is from he's a surgeon from Lithuania who's representing Lithuania in the European Union, and he was doing a facepalm thing when this was going on, and it was kind of like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. And you got to understand what this European Union is. Some of these countries have to be in this union or they will not survive. Now, there's countries like Britain that can get out of the union and survive, although the sky has fallen if you listen to a lot of the media. And when I ended this, right after I ended this, and there was a gentleman that came on, and obviously it was done in I believe German, and so there was a translation and basically said, come on, people, don't act like Nigel. Don't act like the rest of the UKIP people. Don't be like that. That's what we're used to seeing these people do. We're above all of this, all hotty-toddy and all that stuff. We're better than this. So you go ahead and don't be like him, even though he's basically told them, you've never done a proper job or worked a business or worked a trade or ever created a job. And it's like, okay, these people are still angry, very angry about Britain. They're angry. They're not angry at Mr. Farage as much as they're angry at the people in Britain that voted to get out. That's who they're still angry with.
Well, I know one thing, in line with your point you were making about the fact that there are countries involved in the EU that just would not survive economically. We know that Greece is a perfect example. These guys were almost on the verge of bankruptcy, but it took the EU, with the backing of the German mark, I guess, to come to be able to salvage their economy. And by the way, we're talking about an economy where 70% of the population works for the government. So that's indicated there. But yeah, Alan Greenspan, to his credit, was said that was one of the things that in the beginning, a lot of people were against the EU just for this reason, that the more stable, financially stable nations would end up supporting the lesser stable nations, and it would basically be, collectivism of another kind. There'd be constant bailouts.
Yes.
That kind of thing. So even though Greenspan is part of the problem, he at least acknowledged that was the potential, and that's what we've been watching play out here. Of course, we have to keep in mind that this pull out of the EU has very little to do with the economy and almost everything to do with borders.
Yes, absolutely, because unelected bureaucrats from a far-off nation are making decisions about what happens in your country.
Yeah.
And this has been a dream of them since 1957 was when this was first proposed, this kind of European Union. And, it started out with the common market. So they had free trade, free and fair trade. Remember that phrase, free and fair trade.
Right.
And so I know we're coming up. We got to come up at the top of the hour break here to go to Ron Edwards and everything. But just kind of keep that in mind, because Nigel has some more things to say after he was allowed to speak once again, because all hell was breaking loose in that chamber.
Let's put it in quick context here. It's like having a programmer that you don't know write the program for your car that's going to drive you down the street. Okay, yes. There's your analogy. So there was a method in the madness here. We have a great analogy here. We'll be right back, guys. Time for the Edwards Notebook. Pay some bills, and we'll be back in hour 2. We're going to continue this. Stay with us.
Some people say that it's all over for America, while others, like me, believe the best is yet to come. What say you? Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, we all can recite the myriad of setbacks that currently beset our remarkable republic. The Obama administration has seriously damaged every major pillar of society. Stagnation dominates the economy, and bad morale permeates the military. Government school education is now worse than ever before, and that's just for starters. The giants of destruction of America seem to be everywhere, including the thousands of terrorists roaming our streets, looking to kill, steal, and destroy. But you know what? The bigger the giants are, the harder they fall. The Bible says the power of life and death are in the tongue. In ancient Israel, 10 men were sent out to spy out the land to report on the odds of the children of Israel taking the promised land for themselves. 8 said it's impossible, but 2 said we can take the giants and the land. America, the choice is ours, to either fold up in defeat or stand and believe that it's not over for our republic. Yes, we as a nation have stumbled, but I believe we the people, through providential guidance, will soon reignite the torch of liberty and fulfill our God-ordained manifest destiny of greatness. I'm Ron Edwards.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
And we are back. This is Hour 2 of the Conservative Syndicate, and we're glad to have you with us tonight, today, this morning, depending on where you're at around this great globe of ours. And we're talking right now about the Brexit pullout or the Brexit vote and the fallout from it. And a lot of it has to do with how the elitists, how the globalists, how the establishment, whichever phrase you care to attach to them, and they all fit, how they're responding to this, how they're reacting to it. I think a lot of them really, for all intents and purposes, at least the geopolitical elitists, probably this caught them by surprise. I think they really thought that they weren't, that Britain would stay in the EU. And
not used to losing. They're not used to losing anything.
No, and I was actually looking at a map, how the votes broke down.
Uh-huh.
And they had, the nations like Scotland and Wales or Northern Ireland. Scotland and Northern Ireland were in the blue.
Uh-huh.
Wales and England was in the red. And it looked so much like a map of the United States. The blue states are all up north and the red are all down south. It was really just kind of stunning that we see the same geopolitically in terms of demographics, almost an identical map of what we look at in the United States today in terms of red and blue states. It was just kind of astounding there. But back to you, Joe. You're highlighting this speech here by Mr. Farage.
Yes. When Nigel was giving his speech, so we listened to the first part where he basically said, "Hey, you so smart people that have never really done anything with your lives except be here in a body like this and think you're all high and mighty and everything." And so they took offense to that. And basically, you asked the fallout from this, and basically what we're seeing from these people, what I've noticed, it's just a big hissy fit temper tantrum. They didn't get what they wanted. So, I mean, you've got John Kerry out there going, well, we should have another referendum. Like John Kerry has anything to do with what the Brits do. But it's like, how many of them are they going to do like they want to? Have so many referendums until they finally get their act together and the globalists can spend enough money to convince enough people to join their side again? I mean, it's ridiculous. So Mr. Farage continues on with his speech after he was allowed to do so. And I'd like everybody to not only listen to what Nigel Farage has to say here, because this is where he makes his proposal about the future of trade between Britain and the continent, but also kind of, if you can, just kind of keep an ear out for the reaction he receives as he's delivering his message. So let me get my mouse over here so I can get this ready. And just kind of listen up. And here's Mr. Farage once again in his speech to the European Parliament.
Now, you're quite right, Mr. Schultz. UKIP used to protest against the establishment, and now the establishment protests against UKIP. So something has happened here. Let us listen to some simple, pragmatic economics. Between your countries and my country, we do an enormous amount of business in goods and services. That trade is mutually beneficial to both of us. That trade matters. If you were to decide to cut off your noses, to spite your faces, and to reject any idea of a sensible trade deal, the consequences would be far worse for you than it would be for us. And even no deal is better for the United Kingdom than the current rotten deal that we've got. But if we were to move to a position where tariffs were reintroduced on products like motor cars, then hundreds of thousands of German workers would risk losing their jobs. So why don't we just be pragmatic, sensible, grown up, realistic, and let's cut between us a sensible tariff-free deal, and thereafter recognize that the United Kingdom will be your friend, that we will trade with you, we will cooperate with you, we will be your best friends in the world. But do it sensibly, and allow us to go off and pursue our global ambitions and future.
That just makes too much sense.
Yeah, how dare you Brits think you should have your own way with your country? My goodness. how dare you? And they're just in the background going, what? We're gonna go out. We're gonna get our pound of flesh on you, Great Britain. And now
let's clarify for our listeners what he's saying here. He's addressing what he knows would be the leverage that the European Union would try to exert against the UK, and that would be in the form of tariffs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trade war. Right.
Tariffs are it's the business community's way of leveraging, and they're supposed. The thought is always level the playing field. That's one of the things that Obama keeps telling us with the Trans-Pacific Partnership, that the tariffs will all but disappear. It's not that they'll disappear; it's that they'll be paid in another way, the TPA, that kind of thing. So what he's saying here is basically you're going to try to punish us by putting these tariffs on any trade that we have, and that would be self-defeating because we do a lot of trade already. And the pragmatic or the practical answer is to get over it and just continue to do what we've been doing. And, of course, that's going to be rejected because the EU is that type of collective, very much like what Obama wants over here. You do it, it's our way or the highway. That kind of thing. And we'll just, if you can't give us what we want, we'll just make your life a living hell and hopefully just be able to squeeze you at the end, and we'll end up getting what we want through subjection rather than just, agreement or cooperation. At the same time, always talking about agreement and cooperation.
Yeah, exactly. We will cooperate because it's open and free and fair trade.
Yeah.
Remember the phrase, open, free, and fair trade, okay? Just keep that phrase in mind.
Yeah, it's free for us, and it's fair for us. If you get screwed in the process, so be it. That's what we saw. So I thought just a very practical response to what apparently is going to come down the line. I'm going to be curious now as to how this is going to affect the Trans-Pacific Partnership that Obama seems to think is the cure-all for everything that ails us. I don't know what Britain, I don't think, was involved in that at all, or the EU for that matter. I think this is supposed to be Trans-Pacific. This is supposed to be the Pacific Rim.
Yeah, it's not for Europe. The Trans-Pacific is not for that. Hey, do you want to go for the break now?
Yeah, we got to go to break here. When we come back, we're going to continue our discussion here on the fallout from the Brexit vote. And by the way, just a quick reminder, it's not about the economy, stupid. It's about the borders. And that's the one thing the globalists are just refusing to acknowledge. We saw it today with Obama up there in Ottawa, they're up there chasing the moose. And we'll talk about all this when we get back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Right now it's time for Moments of Madness. Hey, on Moments of Madness. Globalist elites and the media lapdogs that shore up their ranks woke up this past Friday morning and in more than a few cases surprisingly found themselves forced to deal with immediate as well as possible long-term damage to their reputations and bank accounts ravaged by the electoral storm named Brexit that hit Europe the night before. While a few proponents of the New World Order downplayed to the public the UK's exit from the EU as nothing more than a tremor brought about by a disgruntled workforce not feeling the utopian aura wealth redistribution promises but never delivers, there is much to indicate the UK's decision is the beginning of the perfect storm, one that may actually generate an ideological tsunami that could reshape the geopolitical landscape to a degree not felt since the fall of the Berlin Wall and the Soviet Union. This tsunami could possibly not only reach the shores of their neighboring European counterparts, but around the globe as far as North America, Asia, and even below the equator. The bloc that makes up the United Kingdom, Britain, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, while divided nationally with Scotland and Northern Ireland favoring to remain in the EU, while Britain and Wales choosing to leave, together ended up posting a 52% majority that rejected the paradigm of globalism as an effective and preferred form of government. This indictment of collective ideologies that feed the egos and ledgers of power-hungry elitists becomes even more damning when we view the outcome was achieved in spite of massive campaign spending by EU members, trade threats rendered by world leaders like Barack Obama, and prophecies of financial doom by billionaire hedge fund managers like George Soros and Warren Buffett. The stability of the sterling pound appears not to have been the concern of the British people, but rather an instinctive understanding their very existence as a nation and people is at risk of being decimated by uncontrolled immigration. It's as if they are channeling the spirit of another rebel, that being Benjamin Franklin, who warned over 240 years ago, "They who can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safe deserve neither liberty nor safety." Rather than cave to the fear-mongering that has for too long been effective in keeping the masses in line, the common theme we can take from this is enough is enough. Throw the bums out. Here's the madness. Like the graffiti etched into the clay walls of imploding Rome or painted on the Berlin Wall in plain sight for all to see. Ideological collectivism touted in any form, regardless of perceptions of good intent conveyed by its proponents and planners, will only be tolerated by those subjected to it until such time as it can be obliterated by the very people it enslaves. Yet those who hold dogmatically to various hybrids of communism continue to perpetuate the deception that to surrender one's individuality and the rights inherent to such stature in favor of joining the ranks of true believers is the only true means by which universal peace and socio-economic order can be sustained, in spite of all historical evidence to the contrary. Is it willful ignorance of the obvious, or an undeterred determination to do what's right? I think not. It's because deception serves as a means to an end, their end. And while it may be true to some degree, those who join the ranks of true believers may obtain a little temporary safety and security, as Franklin once quipped, natural law mandates they eventually rejoin the ranks of the disgruntled and disenfranchised to once again roam the decrepit streets ravaged by collective barbarism, with little choice but to tag graffiti on the decaying walls of the stores they loot. And the storm begins another cycle. Such it is right now across America. We, the benefactors of the great experiment of republicanism, face our own storm. This storm, not unlike the one that hit Europe this past week, threatens our very existence as a republic, a nation, and a people should we not take the necessary steps to prepare for it. For if we continue to listen to the words that form the empty promises elicited by both sides of our political establishments, should we continue to believe things will take care of themselves, should we continue to pray to our God for deliverance in spite of our rejection of Him, then we may find ourselves lamenting another great statement from Benjamin Franklin. You have a republic if you can keep it. This storm may be the last opportunity for us, perhaps forever. This is John Matthews for Moments of Madness. Right, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. One quick note here before we get back in here. So we're talking about, Joe was just playing this speech by Nigel Farage out over there facing off with the EU, and basically saying, you know, let's use some common sense here. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, and let's do something pragmatic here. Let's get over your being upset and your hurt feelings and everything else, and let's just continue to do business as usual because it's beneficial for us to continue to do this.
Which you know, when the establishment wins any battles, that's exactly what they tell the minority or the conservatives to do. Just get over it. Settle down. We know you're upset, but just you have to deal with this.
Yeah,
it's exactly what they always tell our side of the fence. But now the shoe's on the other foot, and they don't like losing.
Yeah. It's you know, everybody has a right to my opinion. That it's kind of like thinking like that. Now, I just kind of fill in just a little void here, and then I'll give it back to Joe here.
Sure.
Everybody thought, you know, that the stock market was going to crash. It was like an over 800 points adjusted in the stock within 48 hours after the Brexit vote. But in the last 2 days, the Dow has jumped back up 285 points today, 270 points on Tuesday. The S&P 500 has bounced back almost 2%. What is the other one? The NASDAQ stock has also gone up. So, and we've talked about this on the show several times, is that investors know how to adjust. They know how to adjust. They know, okay, stocks are taking a hit. What do? They shift their assets and they go into bonds. It goes from a bull market to a bear market, back and forth. Okay, bear market stock, bull market bonds. So they make an adjustment, and everything it ends up, it's cyclical. I keep telling you guys out there, the stock market is cyclical. It takes a look at what's going on around, whether the political environment, everything else is happening, and they make adjustments. That's what they do for a living. That's why people like George Soros can make money off of losses that everybody else thinks is a big deal. That's why Warren Buffett, that's how he became a millionaire and a billionaire. That's how all these people do their business. It's like they measure everything. This is what's going on. This is what I think is going to happen. They place their bets, and boom, bada bing, bada boom. That's what happens. Okay, so and we were talking about this, and I'm going to have fun when Bob finally comes back on the show. I'm going to rub this in his face. that you're the one that telling us, this is all going to go to hell in a handbasket.
He actually used the R word, if you remember.
Yeah, well, yeah, we can put you in the same category now, Mr. Cardoza. We can put you in the same category with Dick Morris and Karl Rove.
Come on! Don't be doing that to Bob like that.
No,
come on.
I'm only saying that because he's not here to defend himself. Okay.
Okay. Oh my! Let's not do Bob.
All right. So anyway, getting back to this, Joe, you want to continue where we're going down the road here with this?
So much burst in the bubble of the doom and gloom. The sky is falling. Europe's going to go into economic recession and everything, and now the market's going to come back, and I think it's going to continue to come back. Just look, like we said the other day, buy if you got the money, buy in British whatever it is, because it's going to be worth something. So anyways, and then let's talk a little bit about what they're trying to do. These folks over there, they don't like to lose, so what do? They're going to do their little blackmail thing. And you think we're just talking about with Britain, but no, they're not doing it just with Britain. Let me read you a little bit. This is out of the Zero Hedge. EU officials, a thing written by Tyler Durden, anyway. And this was just 2 days ago. All right, so EU officials to unveil ultimatum blueprint as final solution. Now, that's a bad phrase, final solution for European superstate. And he starts it. He goes, it appears the Brits may have dodged more than a bullet in their decision to leave the EU. Foreign ministers of France and Germany are reportedly due to reveal a blueprint to effectively do away with individual member states in what is being described as an ultimatum. As the Express, a newspaper, reports, the shockingly predictable final solution to Europe's Brexit-driven existential crisis is apparently long-held plan to morph the continent's countries into one giant superstate. The radical proposals mean EU countries will lose the right to have their own army, criminal law, taxation system, or central bank, with all those powers being transferred to Brussels, according to the Daily Express in a 9-page report that has outraged some European Union leaders.
All right, so let's put that in context. What they're going to do, they're going to try to solidify the smaller nations, the ones that actually need them. I mean, that won't take too much of an effort. They basically just have to go to them and say, hey, look what's happening here. Britain has pulled out. If the EU falls apart, you guys are history. Those people will just line up. They'll just line up like, lemmings going off a cliff. They'll go. But maybe some of the other nations, they're going to have to make promises.
Now, does that sound like a pragmatic approach?
Right. And what they'll be doing is, it'll be, this is a common sense thing to do. This is a common sense solution. Let's use a leftist term that Barack Obama trots out every time he wants something that everybody else is really against. It's common sense. Common sense that we need to now band together, give up your national identities. Let's go for broke here.
Common sense, huh?
Yeah,
I don't know if this is quite common sense. Let me read a little further here. The plans for a closer European Union have been branded an attempt to create a union superstate. The Daily Mail reports Germany Foreign Minister Frank-Walter Steinmeier and French counterpart Jean-Marc Ayrault today presented a proposal to closer EU integration. EU integration based on three key areas: internal and external security, the migrant crisis, and economic cooperation. But the plans have been described as an ultimatum in Poland, with claims that could mean countries transfer their armies, economic system, and border controls to the EU. Conversely, member states would also lose what few controls they had left over their own borders, including the procedures for admitted and relocated refugees. Remember, it's exactly what we said this was more about, was your border than your economics.
Well, let's put that again. Let's put it in context. Let's put it in context here. We already know that the big problem with immigration, over there, that it created this whole mess, is that people that are members of the EU, and you get a passport, you travel freely amongst all the nations that make up the EU. And that's how the terrorists have been able to utilize being able to infiltrate and bring their terrorists in just all you got to do is get in one country. Get in one country. So pick one of the weaker ones, whatever it takes. And you get them in there, and then you can get them in, you can spread them out the way that you want to, and they can do their damage, and there's nothing you can do about it. So what's the answer? Instead of addressing border concerns and this ability for people to travel across borders unabated, let's just create one border. We're not going to fix the problem. What we're going to do is we're just going to make it easier for everybody to get in, just by saying, okay, now we'll just erase all the borders, and we'll all become one single entity.
Yeah, right.
And in that, of course, we'll promise you now that we'll come out and we'll be able to vet people coming into the nation, and we won't have this problem of them sneaking in through some other country or something like that. That's how can you vet somebody, as we already know, that you can't find any records on to begin with? And as we see over here in the United States, even when you vet people and put them on the quote-unquote the watch list, they end up getting released anyways. So it's all about just making the empty promises, abating any fear, any concern, any doubt, and just saying, we got this under control. We'll just make it all one big cesspool, and then we won't know where the crap is coming from.
Yeah, control. Yeah, maybe so. Let me read from this is from the Sputnik News. And it said the topic is Poland leaks the French-German plan for the EU superstate amid Brexit chaos. And just here's a little quotes here. The plan named a strong Europe in a world of instability was signed by Steinmeier and French Foreign Minister Jean-Marc Ayrault, presented to the Visegrad group of countries, Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, and Slovakia, at a meeting in Prague this past Monday, just a couple of days ago. Our two countries share a common destiny and a common set of values that provide the foundation for an ever closer union between our peoples. We therefore move further towards political union in Europe and invite other Europeans to join us in this endeavor. France and Germany wrote, our two countries share a common destiny, a common set of values. Gee, just a few, 70 years ago, it wasn't so common.
Yeah, and I believe you mentioned to me somewhere along the line here, and that might be what you're covering right now. The Polish minister was concerned about this from the get-go, and actually said something along the lines of the whole plan is geared towards erasing all borders and just creating one European state. Which, in essence, wouldn't it just be, to give an analogy here, it would just be like maybe the reestablishment of the Russian Republic?
Oh, God, you brought up the Russians, John, because that is what is not being said here. But let's continue what the Poles think about this.
Okay.
Because we got a very short period. We got about a minute. So the Polish foreign minister added that the Visegrad countries want Western Union to try to consider why the UK decided to leave. They want to know whether there is some reflection on our western side of Europe on what happened. Why the fifth largest economy in the world, a powerful state and a nuclear power, decided after 40 years to leave the EU, the guy in Poland asked. And he knows the answer. It's because these people were taking over their country. Poland has said for a long time that the euro is the only acceptable in two situations. Firstly, it'll be profitable for us from an economic point of view, and that time is far away. Oh, the economy is not so good, apparently, in Europe right now. And then to overcome the crisis, the euro has to enter into a renewed phase of economic convergence, so the countries will have to unify their regulations and taxation system, and in the difference between in a budget surplus and deficit across the EU. And with that, we're going to have to go to a break.
All right, guys, stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back. We got a lot more for you.
State Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got. Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook, and you'll be included in contest and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get to Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
Hey, we're back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. Just a quick reminder here, visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, and pick up all of our archives and anything you want to know about the show. You'll find out about our panel members, what we do, why we do it, and how we do it, okay? Theconservativesyndicate.net. And a quick reminder here, July 4th, Monday, we will be participating in the launching of a new affiliate, Red Nation Rising. We're going to be part of that operation now, along with the other 8 affiliates that we are. We don't have time to list them right now, but go to our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, and you can find out who all those affiliates are. So now back to Joe. We're talking here about the Brexit vote, the fallout that is taking place right now in terms of the elitist globalists over there in the European Union, just throwing a tizzy fit, holding their breath till they turn blue.
Yeah, turn blue. I see what you did there. Anyway, so they're not happy. So what are they going to do? They're going to try to control the situation once again. So the Express report, going from the Zero Hedge article by Tyler Durden, the Express reports that the plot sparked fury and panic in Poland, a traditional ally of Britain in the fight against federalism, after being leaked to Polish news channel TVP Info. Public broadcaster reports that the bombshell proposal was presented to a meeting of the Visegrad group of countries made up of Poland, Czech Republic, Hungary, and Slovakia, as I said before, by the German Foreign Minister Frank-Walter Steinmeier. Excerpts of the 9-page report were published as leaders of Germany, France, and Italy met in Berlin to talk about the Brexit crisis. All right, so it's a crisis over there. All right, so in the preamble, as I stated before, our countries share a common destiny and a set of values. In this article, they put question marks beside that, that give rise to an even closer union between our citizens. We therefore strive for political union in Europe and invite the next European to participate in this venture. Responding to the plot, the Polish Foreign Minister Witold Waszczyński or whatever. Sorry if I butchered his name, but I can't hardly spell my own name. Raged. This is not a good solution, of course, because from the time the EU was invented, a lot has changed. Quote unquote, the mood in European societies is different. Europe and our voters do not want to give the union over into the hands of technocrats. Mm-hmm. So, therefore, I want to talk about this, whether this is really the right recipe now in the context of Brexit. There's a deep divide at the heart of the EU at the moment over how to proceed with the project in light of the Brexit vote. So now, Poland is definitely not happy about this.
No, and let's, just for our listeners here, just in case, especially if you're a liberal listening right now, let us just take just a second here and define to you what federalism is. Okay. You were at the beginning of the quote there. You talked about federalism, and that is a term or a word that's been, like everything else, perverted over time. Federalism is the belief that a state or a nation has its own sovereignty. Okay, so when we talk about the Federalist, when we talk about the Federalist in the founding of our country, Federalists were people that believed in state sovereignty over national sovereignty. Okay, the central government certainly has some responsibilities, and it was designated and defined within the confines of the Constitution. But
yes,
each state was
powers.
Yeah, each state was considered its own nation.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's what federalism means. It means they were part of a confederation. And that's where the word comes from. So when we hear the word federalist, I just want you to talk about it. That's what Mr. Farage, when he refers to the UK, he refers to it within that context of it being federalism. It said, hey, we want our own identity. We want our own nationality. And we're willing to work with you, but we want our own. We want to be called our own. We want our own decision-making, that kind of thing. So I wanted to define that because a lot of people think that federalism means nationalism. They confuse the term sometimes. So
that's what Obama and that crowd that he hangs out with want to make it. This is all about nationalists, and it's nationalism is a bad thing. Wanting to support your own nation's a bad thing. Yeah. Come on now. I mean, really, it hasn't been in my lifetime, but it has been the last 8 years.
Right.
Okay, so. Moving on here, so that's Poland. Okay, some figures have cautioned against trying to use force through further political integration, warning that to do so against the wishes of the European people will only fuel further Eurosceptic feelings. All right, the Czech minister added that the 4 Eastern members had reservations about the proposed common security policy. Meanwhile, Lorenzo Claudigin, the former Director General of Italy's Treasury, has said it was nearly impossible to see Europe opting for more integration at such a time of upheaval. He said, it seems difficult to imagine that the rest of the EU will close ranks and move in the direction of greater integration quickly. Simply, there's no political will. Indeed, the risk exactly the opposite, namely that centrifugal forces will prevail and make integration even more difficult. And this article goes on to say, it seems the infamous phrase, never let a crisis go to waste, has not been lost on the EU officialdom. These people running the EU. So we can see that's their plan, is that they would like to get a conglomeration. Now, I said thank you for mentioning Russia in there. States like Lithuania, I don't believe if they get sucked into and get into a greater state, political state, whatever the European, whatever it is, the European hedge monster or whatever they want to call it, I don't believe Russia's going to sit idly by and let this happen.
Oh, expound on that?
I think Putin will go in and just say, because Lithuania is right there next to Russia, and we can see a return to Russia expanding just like they did Ukraine.
I get it. So
nobody stopped them, and NATO's not going to stop them. It's just not going to happen. So these people, again, as Mr. Farage said, will be cutting their nose off to spite their face. And it won't be because the Brits are going to do something economically. It's going to be because Putin is going to do it through using his military.
So you're saying that he's going to employ basically the Hitler strategy. This was Lithuania was originally part of the Russian conglomerate, and now you're endangering their existence. So we're going to go in and protect them.
Exactly. I see that happening again, just like he did in Ukraine.
Right. I mean, that's what started the Nazi advancement was the taking back of Czechoslovakia.
Yeah, the Ugarland or whatever it was called, and then he had to go into Austria. They annexed Austria, and then he went into Poland.
I hadn't really
section. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think even more telling is the fact that we haven't heard anything from Russia on this.
Oh, exactly. Just sitting back, he's going to wait and see what happens here.
Yeah,
if these people actually go with their little plan because they got told no, and now they're going to go and try to do this. It's amazing to see the countries that are leading this: France, Germany, and Italy. The 3 bastards that were freaking doing it in the First World War and the Second World War. Really? Thanks a lot, guys. We're going to do this again.
Wow. I'm just sitting here thinking now, as you're talking about this, and we know that we have we have some international elections coming up here in a very, very near future. Some of them involving some of these nations that are with the EU.
Yes.
And that would be interesting to see. I would imagine that's what has triggered this sudden surgence by the globalists themselves of saying, hey, we got to try to unify this thing. We got to stop the bleeding kind of stuff.
Absolutely, because they see the handwriting on the wall, because these nation states in Italy and in France, I mean, for crying out loud, France has had how many terrorist attacks now?
Yeah.
Their citizens are dying in the streets because of this Muslim migration, this Muslim invasion.
Wow.
So they're dying in the streets. So, yes, there will be votes on this.
It's going to be...
Merkel's in trouble. She has an election next year, and the people have had enough there as well.
Yeah. Wow. I'm trying to envision in my mind how this is going to play out in terms of the upcoming elections around the EU. There's several of them. I think some of them coming up just within the next couple of weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out.
Yeah. I think we should go to a break, John.
Yeah, we got to go to break. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion here. Fallout from the Brexit vote for the elites and globalists. That's where the fallout is. It's not from... Yeah, there are some people kind of, wringing their hands a little bit. But the globalists are the ones that are freaking out right now. They're the ones running for cover, looking for a solution to bring everything back in line. Let's get the masses back in line. Back in line. That's the name of the game. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And, I got an email, actually, today from one of our listeners out from Phoenix, Arizona. She sent me an email, and she asked me, I'm seeing if I can find it right now, because this is maybe I could pitch the question at you, Joe.
Okay.
She was asking, let's see, where is it here? Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, there it is. All right. Oh, come on. Okay. Here it is, where this is from Cecilia out in Arizona. And I happen to know Cecilia. She's a very close friend of mine. I've known her for many, many years. She moved to Phoenix a few years ago. And she listens to the show. And if if my computer will quit scrolling on me like it has a mind of its own here, and I can get she was talking about she was asking me the question here. Okay, there we go. Let's see if I can get it up here. I think it's a pertinent question, and one I don't really have an answer to.
I will see.
Okay, she says, I've been listening to your radio show. Do you think that Boris Johnson will be a good candidate for prime minister? Because apparently England now is having elections too. Cameron's stepping down, but I think they were on board to have elections anyways, were they not?
No. Cameron, all throughout this process, he wasn't. He said he didn't want it to be about him. So he didn't want to put it in. If we vote to leave, I'm gonna. He wouldn't say I'm leaving, or if he wouldn't say if we get to stay, I'm staying, that kind of thing. But everybody knows that if they were to vote to stay, he'd still be the prime minister. He's stepping down, and they're going to name somebody in September. And what they're working on now is the Conservative Party's candidate, that kind of thing. And I think it's Boris Johnson is the Conservative Party candidate.
Yeah, and so the question she was asking me is, do you think this guy will be a candidate, and or a good candidate? And all I could say to her was, at this point in time, one, I'm not really informed enough to really tell you one way or the other. Two, with the political environment the way it has been these last 8 years, how do you identify a good candidate anymore?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I would be afraid to say yes, because who knows? I mean, we've had a lot of people get elected here we thought were quote unquote good candidates, and they turned out to be very, very bad.
Well, look at Cameron. He was in the Conservative Party there.
Yeah.
I mean, for crying out loud, this guy was just he was an establishment wonk just as much as Romney and McCain and all the other fools in our country. So, I mean, like you said, would he be a good candidate? I don't know. Let's see what candidates they have. Let's see what the choices that they come up with. They will have choices, so it's a matter of seeing which ones that want to go ahead and take this on. It is a valid question. It is going to be interesting. It's going to be a very interesting summer. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Well, one thing I can say, just looking at the guy, he looks like Donald Trump must look like when he gets out of the shower in the morning. This guy's haircut, it kind of looks like a Muppet. You know, the haircut it's like a really ragtag old 60s Beatle haircut, and he's blonde. He's got a biography out there called Just Boris, A Tale of Blonde Ambition.
Jeez, God.
So, you know, you got the humor, just the humor and something like that. You know, you got to wonder, who knows? Anyway, but if you're listening, Cecilia, that's our answer here. We have no clue.
I mean, let's wait and see for a little bit. I mean, it's only a week. It's not even a week.
Yeah. So we'll see how this all starts playing out. But anyway, okay, back to your. You got anything else you want to add to this?
Yeah. So anyhow, you know, so this all has to do with this European Union. You know, it used to be the European Common Market, now it turned into the European Union. So it used to be a trade organization that turned into this political monolith. Leviathan, and telling people how to live and do things. I mean, they even what did the EU do? Right after the vote, they put restrictions on British tea kettles. Yeah, you know, that's the kind of stuff that these people were doing. So what Obama, the Three Amigo meeting, adios, Three Amigos. Obama heads to the last summit with Canada and Mexico. Yay! This is the last time Obama's going to be there. But they were meeting with their summit, and part of this was to meet with Obama's meeting Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto and Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. So, because he hasn't quite changed. Maybe his voice hasn't changed. Anyway, I know Roy's loving that. Just remember and they're talking about trade. And again, the trade deal that they're talking about is the Trans-Pacific Partnership, a 12-nation deal that Obama cast as and updated as NAFTA. He wants to finalize the TPP as part of his legacy in Asia. All right, I want you to remember this. All right, I got a clip to play here. This is Hillary Clinton, and Hillary is going to tell us all about TPP. And this was in 2012. All right, so this is 2012. I believe she was still Secretary of State.
So it's fair to say that our economies are entwined, and we need to keep upping our game, both bilaterally and with partners across the region through agreements like the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP. Australia is a critical partner. This TPP sets the gold standard in trade agreements to open, free, transparent, fair trade, the kind of environment that has the rule of law and a level playing field. And when negotiated, this agreement will cover 40% of the world's total trade and build in strong protections for workers and the environment.
Yeah, okay, 40% of the world's trade, free, open, transparent. Yeah, okay. Who believes that? This deal was done in secret. How do we know it's going to be that way? And nobody knows, but the globalists do.
Now, let me add a little footnote to that, because there's something I was just reviewing before we came on the air tonight.
Okay.
Hillary Clinton now, in her campaign, has actually said that she's not really in favor of the TPP. Now, she's trying to walk that back, obviously to pander to probably mostly independents, that kind of thing. But let's put it in context here. As she was a supporter, she was formerly a supporter, helped push it through as Secretary of State, and now is trying to say, well, it may not be the best thing for us. But the thing that you got to keep in mind when all this comes down the line here is that everything that's tied to her is a lie. Everything is tied because what's happened is today she agreed with the Democratic National Convention, the DNC platform committee, to add support for the TPP to the Democratic platform for the convention coming up. See? Even though she's saying she's against it, she has agreed that the platform, it can be added to the platform through the DNC.
Yeah, and just remember, this is a trade agreement, just like started out in Europe was a trade agreement.
Right.
And ended up being, you had unelected people from outside your country making decisions about how your country was going to be run.
Right, and let's put this in context, even total context here. The new choice, her choice for the DNC chairman, is one of the communications people for the SEIU. So she has selected a union member who are against the TPP to be the new DNC chair, but she has also given her approval to the platform people, the committee making up the platform, to add the TPP to the platform. Boy, talk about covering both sides of the base.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like Soros there.
Yeah, let's just play both ends against the middle. I'll make $1 million one way or the other.
So I don't think the TPP, and so Obama wants to ram this through before he leaves office because he wants it to be part of his legacy. So I would think that everybody needs to get on board and get to their individual congressmen and senators, and let's make sure that they at least know we're not happy with this.
Well, I'm just hoping that the Republicans are just kind of copping the attitude right now, as they always do when stuff like this happens, is they just kind of go into stealth mode. It's time for recess. We don't want to make any decisions. We don't want to do any debating. We don't want to do any voting.
Yeah, but you're not getting any press on it. But there are still things happening. Just like I said, they want to go ahead and have our women sign up for Select Service draft. I mean, that's out there. That's happening this week.
Yeah.
I mean, so there is stuff happening right now. So that's my point: is don't get lethargic about it. Be active. Let these people know that you're still watching them, even though it's the middle of summer and it is an election year summer.
Yeah, and I think Don yesterday in the show brought something up that I think we have to give a little consideration to. That, some of these issues that we're all talking about here, especially things like gun control and the latest ruling by the Supreme Court on the abortion thing down in Texas, all this is just distraction so that they can ram stuff through.
Exactly. They don't want you to notice.
Yeah, right.
But, John, you know what I noticed? Is the clock. And we run out of time.
Oh, yeah. Wow. I was having too much fun. Hey, guys, we'll be back tomorrow. We're going to continue this discussion during the rest of the week here because there's a lot to cover. And we'll be back tomorrow, 3 o'clock here on the West Coast, 6 o'clock on the East Coast. Visit our website, conservativesyndicate.net. And just remember, we love you guys. We thank you so much for your loyalty. And just hope that you understand that there is a method to our madness. And by the end of this week, you're going to have a thorough understanding of what's going on. God love you. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hako, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.